Most people think fat loss is super simple. You eat less and you work out more, problem solved. But if it really was that easy, why do so many people lose weight, gain it back, and that whole cycle plays in their life? That was my life for 10 years. Up 20 pounds, getting into this really sad state, and then I'm down 20 pounds and I'm in this euphoric state. The problem is both sides are short-lived and an ongoing cycle. Like a very annoying fitness roller coaster that you want to get off so bad, but it just keeps repeating and repeating and you're getting more and more nauseous. What's really confusing is that technically I was doing everything right. I was working out and I was eating healthy, staying disciplined. But over time, I started noticing something weird, definitely a pattern. There were all these little things quietly sabotaging my fat loss. And once I started noticing them, I started also realizing nobody's bringing this up. And that's when the whole entire process started to make a lot more sense to me. And that's what I'm gonna do for you in the next few minutes. I'm gonna walk you through 10 reasons fat loss quietly fails that most people aren't even picking up on. As we're going through these, I want you to ask yourself, is this happening to me right now? Because a few of these might actually surprise you. And one of them completely changed how I look at my workouts. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the healthy eating that made me hungrier. Early on, I thought, okay, I'll just eat healthy and work out and I'll get to where I want to be. Simple. So I started eating things like granola, smoothies, low-calorie meals. And all of that sounds healthy, but something strange kept happening. I'd eat, feel good about the choices, and then an hour later, I was starving. Have you ever had that happen? Like you eat something that's technically healthy, but somehow you're hungrier after eating it. And that's not a discipline problem. Most of the time, it's just a meal composition problem. Meals that are mostly carbs and missing a good portion of the fats of the protein, your body just burns through carbs too easily. So making sure that you have a balanced meal, carbs should be a side, not a main thing. Truly because it just digests so fast and that's what keeps you hungry. But here's where things got really tricky for me. Because food wasn't the main thing making me hungrier and hungrier. And it took me years to figure this one out. Let's call it the workout hunger compensation trap. And this took me years to figure out. The harder my workouts were, the hungrier I was by the end of the day. And when you're burning those calories, your workouts are intense, and you're really hungry, it truly becomes so much easier to eat more than you realize. Not because you're weak, but because your body is literally trying to recover. So sometimes people don't fail their caloric deficit because they lack discipline. They fail because they accidentally eat their workout back in. And once I realized that, another pattern that was hurting my progress was also going into this. And that's the weekend erase effect. I can't be the only one. Tell me you've been perfect from Monday to Friday, and then comes dinner dates, plans with friends and family. You did so well from Monday to Friday. You made those good choices and they were hard. And then the weekend totally gets you off track. By Sunday night, you're thinking, I'll start again on Monday. Does that sound familiar? Because I've said it to myself way too many times. Way too many times. So here's the tricky part. Only 2 higher caloric days can and will and have erased 5 perfect days. And it doesn't even take eating a crazy amount to do that, actually. It doesn't stop there. Sometimes weight gain isn't all about food. I know we spend a lot of time focusing on food. What are you putting in? What are you putting in? But it's bigger than that because it's the subtle things that play a long-term game. And that leads me to the healthy identity shift. Because weight gain sometimes starts with identity. Like, really think about a time where you felt amazing about yourself. You probably paid attention to what you ate. You probably moved more. You probably took care of yourself. All the other self-care things. That probably has you taken more pictures. And then life gets busy. work gets really stressful, a major change can happen in your life, like a move, a job shift, different relationships, single, not single, whatever it is that causes your routine to change. And then slowly, it's literally so slow, you stop seeing yourself as someone that prioritizes their health, their appearance, and all of these things that build your self-care, to build your identity, to be this person that takes care of themselves, values themselves, all the way to the opposite side of somebody that doesn't care about their appearance, doesn't care what they are putting in their body, doesn't show up for themselves, and in that way also doesn't take pictures, doesn't go to events, doesn't do all of the things that you were doing when you were in motion. The main thing with this one is that when your identity shifts and it changes, your habits also shift with it, which can lead into the stress hunger problem. And this hits for a lot of people, especially busy individuals, people that are just prone to higher stress. Things just affect them differently. I know I'm somebody that I have high responsibility. So even if something's not directly my fault, I'm going to try to jump into that action and say, well, I could have played a part in that. And that just builds cortisol. It builds up the stress hormone that releases, which is cortisol. And the thing about cortisol is that it actually increases your cravings, especially for high energy foods. Take it for what it is. Ask yourself this: have you ever had a really stressful week and suddenly you're way hungrier than you usually are? Like your brain is literally saying, pizza would solve this problem. That's not just willpower failing, it's your body reacting to stress. And like I mentioned, it's all of these little things subtly adding up to the main equation. There's another problem that sneaks up on people, and that happens when your brain gets tired. I'm sure you've heard about, just plan your meals so you don't have to think about it later. That comes from a real science of the fatigue decision problem. Like, the more decisions you make in the day, the harder it is to keep making the good ones. Whether that's work decisions, life decisions, food decisions. By the end of the day, your brain's like, please stop asking me to think and evaluate the situation to decide on what's best. And a tired brain chooses convenience. It's always gonna go to what you know very well. That's why late night snacking is a big thing. That's why takeout happens so easily more at night than in the morning or at lunch. It's really not because you don't care. It's not because you don't care about yourself, your body, your choices, your diet. It's because you are tired, literally mentally exhausted. And that's because there's always something to learn, literally. Like, you could be eating healthy foods and still gain weight. What? It's really a too healthy to lose weight problem, because foods that are low volume when you're trying to lose weight, like peanut butter, nuts, or oil in the salad, like olive oil, these foods that are nearly, you could put it on a little part of your hand and it's 3-digit calories. In a phase when you're trying to lose fat and you're being selective about what you're eating, you want to actually feel full with less. That's the only way that you're going to be able to say, okay, I'm full, I'm satisfied. But if you're choosing high calorie foods like peanut butter over something that has more volume, your body's gonna go through 100 calories of peanut butter in literally 15 minutes versus 100 calories in something with more volume like broccoli or cauliflower. Your body's gonna take a little longer to go through all of that. So while peanut butter, nuts, olive oil, all of these things, they are healthy. There are nutrients, there's benefits, but be aware that they are very calorie dense. So someone that is eating healthy, nutritious things can still gain weight, actually. When we're kids, a PB&J, like the PB is like this thick on the bread. As an adult, I still enjoy PB&J, but my PB layer is literally as thin as it is to cover the freaking bread. And then the jelly, I can, pat it a little more. It's simple math, guys. If I'm eating 1,500 or 1,400 calories per day and my PB layer is literally 300 calories, now, not considering the bread, not considering the jelly, I literally only have 1,100 calories left, and that peanut butter is gonna go through me so fast. And I know a lot of people have been speaking a little more about, notice how calorie dense this is and how, how much more volume this is. And I'm really glad we are bringing up this conversation in our communities. Now, the one thing I'm not seeing much of is the under movement trap. As people start working out, they're gonna say, okay, I already worked out for today. Like, check, nothing else I need to do other than eat clean. And that's because these intense workouts make people move less throughout the entire day, just in general. So if you're getting an intense workout in before work, during work, after work, you're like, oh, I already worked out today. Your steps are probably gonna be super low. You're probably gonna be very sore, so you're not gonna be encouraged to move and go around the block for a walk. And when this supporting low effort movement stops and you become more chill, that's actually affecting your fat loss. Which leads me into the fact that we are running an adult life here. And I've talked about this in other videos. When we're younger, we're just naturally in motion. We're walking around school, we're seeing friends, we have sports to do, we're outside. But adult life looks like driving to work, sitting at a desk, driving home, and sitting again. It's just very little movement. And that's why staying in shape requires intentional effort as an adult, because our life is not built in a way, unless you have a job that keeps you moving. But usually adults don't have it built in their life where movement is natural, like we were when we were kids. And the biggest reason I started this channel is because of that reset ongoing. And this is probably the biggest thing I want to cover for this video. A lot of people, including myself, build an identity around this idea of starting over. I'll start over at the start of the year. I'll start over at the start of the month. I'll start over on Monday. I'll start over after my birthday. It's that Monday to Friday diet and the weekends that crush you. And that ongoing cycle, it's truly vicious, and it'll go on for years if you don't stop it in its tracks. If you don't take anything from this video but this, take the fact that fat loss is not about being perfect for a few months. It's about building little habits that you can do in your everyday life. So instead of asking, well, how can I do all of these things that you said perfectly? Taking everything we discussed into consideration, a better question will be, how can I build a lifestyle around these habits that I can actually stick with on a day-to-day basis? Because usually real change doesn't come from one major reset. It comes from those small, incremental habits built over time. And girls, this is literally what the channel is about. Figuring this stuff out together, one day at a time. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and maybe comment what are some questions you have, some different topics you guys would like me to cover, and I'll see you soon.